Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Creative
What
Office
is up?
Podcast. This is episode 12. Goodness gracious. I'm starting to forget.
Whoa, that is crazy.
12, huh?
Wow.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think we would get this far, but by the grace of God, we're here.
Here we are.
Here we are. And I have two Motion Youth leaders with me here. I have Nathan and Sage. Say hello.
Hello.
Nathan and Sage serve on the Motion Youth worship team.
Yes.
And they're just people I've gotten to know lately with having to take care of AVL for youth. And it's just, they've been the best, and it's been super cool. And so super grateful to have you guys here. We had talked about it like 2 weeks ago. I said, hey, what if you guys get on the podcast? And they were like, oh, I don't know. But I was like, do it. It's so much fun, and it's a little intimidating because honestly, at first, like I'm not a stand in front of a camera person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's not who I am. But by doing this, it's helped me kind of grow out of that and just get used to just having conversation with people. And then once we got into it, I realized that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just sitting down and talking with your friends.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it's so awesome. So thank you guys for being here. And we'll kind of get right into it. Sage and Nathan don't necessarily know what I'm going to ask them, but
Cool.
I just kind of want to hear a little bit from both of you and just your stories, how you guys got started with, first of all, this church, and then second of all, the ministry. So ladies first.
Yeah. Well, I just started. Me and my family started coming to this church like in 2013, so about 10 years now. And how I started the worship team. It's actually a pretty cool story. I actually, when I was younger, I've always loved singing and stuff. I just never thought I'd actually be part of like a worship team.
Yeah.
And I was like about 14. I was in 7th grade. And I was at like a UG conference, and I had two older sisters that went, and they brought me. And one of the worship pastors, Bethany, a while back, my sisters told her about me, that I like singing and stuff. And she was like, you should try it for the worship team. And I was like, oh, no, that's not for me, because
Nope.
I couldn't even sing in front of my parents.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like one time they're like, if you sing in front of us, we'll give you $50. And I was like, no, I can't do it.
That's crazy.
No, I couldn't even.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so I was like, I'm not sure if that's like, because I was like always so nervous to sing in front of people. I was a little more shy. But after a while, she convinced me, because I started going to like the youth ministry, because I started liking it and stuff. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do it. So I auditioned, and I started shadowing like twice, and then the next week I was like frontlining, and then
Wow.
That's
like,
crazy.
like, I don't know, it's like 8-9 months they asked me to lead, and I was like,
Whoa.
okay. I was like,
Y'all are moving
okay.
quick.
So like after like that, I started leading, and then I've been part of the worship team for like 4 years now, and
Yeah.
like the Lord has done so much through me, and like
Yeah.
Wow.
it's just so crazy. I would never thought I would be where I'm at
No,
today.
totally.
So
Yeah, we've been able to
Yeah.
see that. When I first met Sage, she was just very like, didn't even say hi, just waved kind of a person. But I think it's cool to see you guys grow up. I say that because you guys are both 18. Yeah, I'm
Almost.
6 years older than you guys. So I've been there, done that, and it's just nice to be able to see people in ministry grow up. You know, I've seen a lot of people come and go, and I was that person. You know, that I started in the ministry in like the worship team when I was 6. I started
Oh.
playing drums when I was
That's
young,
awesome.
and so I've been able to see, you know, have people that meant a lot to me come and go, and I've been able to see people that weren't as young as me, but were still there, kind of grow, and
Yeah.
it's just awesome to see where the Lord takes people.
Yeah.
Like with you, you know, it's
Yeah.
incredible to see
Seriously.
where you were this just shy girl starting, and then that's also the cool thing though about John, is that when he sees something in somebody, it's like, okay, we're gonna go at it.
Straight
Because
up.
the fact
Yeah.
that you were at a rehearsal, and then you were frontlining, and then you were leading all in what, like 2 months,
Yeah.
That's
is
crazy.
insane. But that's also your heart for serving. Like if you weren't willing to serve God, then you probably would have been like, this
Yeah.
really isn't for me. But
Yeah.
that says a lot about you, and just it's incredible to see you, and just it's been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan,
All
what's
right.
up, bro?
Yeah. All right.
Let's hear you.
I don't know. I feel like a little baby now, because like I don't know. My story's a little different. I think we started going to this church. I want to say maybe 2017. After we moved from New York, and just trying
You're
to.
from New York?
I was born here. It's a whole thing. Like we've done a lot of moving in my life, but
Okay.
yeah. So moved from New York, came here 2017. Just loved the church. It was really great. But I was more of like a church goer instead of like a church. I wasn't involved in any way,
Yeah.
you know. So I was like, oh, cool. We just go on Sunday, and then that's it. But actually, I think the first worship moment where like really hit me. I was like, whoa, I really want to do this. It was like, honestly, with you, Sage, I think I saw you frontlining one day. And I was like, whoa, that's like, she's like my age. Like, whoa, how is that? That's so cool. And I just love music. I've always loved music since like super young age. And I was actually around this time last year, maybe a couple months before December of last year, Jake reached out to me. We just had a nice coffee talk, and I mentioned I like music, and he was like, "Dude, let's get you in the worship team." I was like, "Oh, straight up, let's do it." And like my heart has always been to serve. I love serving. I was food banks, middle school ministries, things like that. I just loved to serve. Yeah. So I love music as well. So getting into that, and it's kind of just like boom, like one after another, like real quick. I started with guitar. Someone noticed I knew how to play piano, so I started playing piano. And then John was like, "Oh, you should learn how to MD." And I was like, "Oh, straight up, what's that? I have no idea what that means."
What's that stand for?
Yeah. So I started doing that for a long time, and started in youth, and now I'm kind of just doing main services and kind of just kind of everywhere.
Of you guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Started at youth, and that's the awesome thing about our church. It's just it's so fruitful.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
You know, and there's so many opportunities, and I'm a testimony of that I came to this church just wanting to learn more about sound. That's literally all it was.
Yeah.
I met somebody who was like, "Hey, this person knows a lot about sound." That person was Brian. Met Brian, learned about sound, and then all of a sudden that just exploded.
Yeah.
And it was opportunity after opportunity. And so that's why I love that our church is so volunteer based. There's so many other churches that are like, "Oh, why don't you just pay to have a front of house or pay to have this and that?" And okay, that might work for
Churches
you.
get paid? That's a thing.
Dude, there are churches out there who like pay people weekly. You know, like every Sunday for you to play guitar, they'd pay you like $100 or something.
I did not know that.
But that's kind of like, that guarantees that you're going to practice and that it's always going to sound good. But that doesn't allow others, like for example, us three that are here, the opportunity to just kind of grow, the opportunity to realize your calling in the Lord. And I look back, you know, if I wouldn't have taken that step to want to learn more, then I wouldn't be, first of all, I wouldn't be at this church. I wouldn't be on staff, and I wouldn't be doing this podcast, you know. And that's why I'm so grateful for our pastors, Roger and Tina, because they have created this culture that is basically like, okay, if you want to serve God, then kind of, you know, do the whole growth tracks thing, get connected with the church first, and then we'll kind of move into training. And then that's why, you know, we have a thing here where we say you're doing your job when you're not doing your job. Because when you train somebody to do something, then you're able to take a step back and not do nothing. No, you're able to take a step back and work in your craft and somewhere else, you know, work in a different area. So it's awesome. I honestly love it. And was someone going to say something? No. Oh, I heard someone take a breath. Like, but no. It's cool. And I think there's just so much more in store for you guys. And so this is where I want to take this moment to kind of ask, like, both of you guys are seniors. So what's the plan? What are you guys planning on?
Ladies first.
For a while I've been really felt led to BSSM. It's Bethel Supernatural School Ministry. It's in Redding, California, and my older sister actually goes there, and I feel like I need to go somewhere because I've been here for so long, for 10 years, and I feel like different places the Lord moves in different ways, and the Lord does different things. So I feel like if I go there, I'll be able to the Lord reveal Himself differently to me. I feel like I can just grow in different ways I couldn't grow here. Yeah. So I'm just excited to see where the Lord takes me in that. So yeah.
Are you are you excited, or are you are you split? You're happy, sad.
Yes, I'm happy and sad because I love this church. We have such great leadership here and stuff. So it would be sad to leave, but I would definitely come back.
But when it's the Bethel album with Sage Johnson on it, let's go. When we have Bethel music back here, Sage is going to be one of them. So that's sick. But no. What you were saying about moving away, it's we talked with Kyle last week. It's I'm not very daring like that. I'm more of I like being with my family.
Me too. Yeah.
I like being comfortable, but like you say, the Lord moves in different ways in different places. Yeah. And it's not necessarily bad or good. It's not that this place doesn't have, what this place offers, what this church offers isn't good. Yeah. I know that's not your heart, just to clarify. But it is true. There are so many different areas in the world that offer so many different things. And it's all a culture thing. Yeah. Especially because, did you go to the Hispanic church? You went to the Hispanic church I go to. Did you?
I did not. I wanted to though.
You didn't. So Sage knows that at the church in Renton that I go to, that's another culture.
Yeah.
Like that's different. And so that is why I could never leave the Hispanic church ever. Like I will never see myself not going to a Hispanic church because the way that it moves there is just, it's something else, you know, and it has its downsides. I'm not going to get into that, but it has a lot of ups and downs, just like everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything has its ups and downs. And so, but my heart gets full here at Motion Church, and then my heart gets full over there too. Like it's just different opportunities, different things. A culture is the big part of it because I grew up in that. I started growing up in like when I started going to church, I grew up in that kind of community. So it was like, I was 6 years old and my dad was one of the worship leaders. And every time there was like a men's retreat, a women's retreat, a youth retreat, like my dad was part of the group that would go and help. And there I was at 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning with my dad setting up. And I wasn't even doing anything. Like I wasn't actually helping, but my dad had me there all the time because the way he thought about it was like, if you're just engaged in this community and you're all in, that eventually is going to bear its fruits. And sure enough, it did, right?
Yeah.
And I think when we're in that environment where, like, I firmly believe, Sage, that when you leave and you just immerse yourself in that environment, it's going to change you. And it's going to change just who you are in the sense of, like, your heart of worship. It's not going to get bad. It's just, it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different essence. Just a different, not a different motive, but just a different way of expressing it. You know, and I think that's going to be super cool. And we love Bethel music. We love we love the Johnson family, Jen Johnson. Oh, you got the last name too. Are you related to them?
Cool.
No,
You're not related? Not that you know? Just kidding.
No, yeah.
Nathan, what about you, brother?
Yeah, man, where do I even start? Yeah, I think just continue serving, just continue like growing in that.
Yeah.
I like what you said about like God moving differently in different places. Like that is so evident. And what I've seen at least, and in my experience, like I think this last Saturday, me and Alfred, shout out Alfred, we went to we went to this church camp for Church of All Nations, I think. Yeah, CFAN. And it's just like this youth church camp, and we served there, and God moved differently. He would like there, then he would here. And over the summer, I went to this thing. It was like I don't know. It was kind of whack, low key. There was like, it was this, I don't know. It was like this church event, right? And it was out in the middle of nowhere in Eastern Washington. And
Wait, where was this?
it was, I'm forgetting the name of the city.
I mean, when?
It was during the summertime.
Oh, I remember that.
I think it was, I think Caleb reached out. Freedom Fest, that's what it's called.
Okay.
Actually, one of the newer guys that joined our worship team, Michael.
Michael was
Shout
there,
out
right?
Michael, yeah.
Yeah, Michael was there, yep.
Yeah, and he kind of dragged me out there, and it was just like this weird thing where there was like cows in the worship, and there was horses.
Oh, that's totally up Sage's alley. Sage would have loved that.
But yeah, it was that, and it was just like God moved there too, regardless, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's really great. Just keep exposing myself to that. My future, like, I really have an emphasis on education, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I have this opportunity to get a full ride to any Christian university, actually, in the Pacific Northwest.
Wow.
Working on that right now. I just got accepted to Northwest University.
Saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, and with like a dean scholarship, which is kind of cool. But
Awesome.
so kind of focusing on serving in that way, kind of like a nursing type thing. My heart's always been just to helping others.
So is that where you're going to go, Northwest?
Yeah. Well, I don't know yet. We'll see.
Yeah. You have options, though. That's
For
good.
sure, yeah. I'm just kind of exploring my options right now. And a little bit of kind of like my story is like my parents are leaving at the end of, I want to say May or June. So I'll be living on my own coming soon. So see what that kind of looks like, kind of just stepping into adulthood, kind of exploring what that is. But yeah.
Which is interesting, and it's fun.
It is, yeah. I bet it is.
I'm asked to live at home, but I don't know what it's like living alone. But it just makes you rely on God more.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you're going to be living on your own, and I think a lot of people at this church, especially interns, are like testimonies of that because you know you're just choosing to follow God, but at what cost, you know?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it does cost something. You know, sometimes it costs leaving your family or staying behind with your family's leaving. And I haven't hit that point yet. Like there's other stuff I've had to sacrifice, like my youth. Like I don't ever say this as a complaint, but I basically had like no childhood. Not in a bad way. It's just I was always immersed in church, so I was always growing up in, like I said, like at a young age, I was always early to everything. I wouldn't go to like the class with all the other kids. Like I wouldn't do none of that because I was always in the front row with the worship team.
Wow, that's cool.
So it used to suck because growing up, I honestly, I hated it. It's like, oh, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? In school, I never did like any school dances. My parents just were not. It was a big no-no. And it's just something that when they grew up, they weren't really all about that. And so I would always, be like, oh, Mom, why can't I do that? Dad, why can't I hang out with those people? Why can't I go over to my friend's house? And a lot of it is sacrifice. And I think at a young age, if I can give any encouragement, is that as long as what you're sacrificing is for the Lord, it's always going to pay off.
Yeah.
Always going to pay off. And I know that you guys are going to move on from, being Motion Youth to young adults eventually, right? But you guys don't go to YA, right?
Not yet. Oh,
Not yet, right?
I don't know about that. Oh, I don't know.
No. But I mean, you guys aren't young adults yet.
Yeah.
Is what I want to say. And so, but honestly, it is a kind of a big change when you think about it. Just the environment that it is, and it's just another level. And so it's just prepare yourselves is what I can tell you guys, and it's a fun ride, and I'm just excited to see where you guys are going to be. I don't know, 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah. Me too.
It's really, really cool. Yeah. And you guys' leadership is great. So you guys, John kind of put you guys in charge of like Motion Youth Worship, right?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, right? So how's that been like? Who schedules? Like who does set lists? Is that still John, or do you guys help
that's
with that?
like still John. Like I
Okay.
help every once in a while, like suggestions and stuff, and like
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
Mainly John.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I guess you could say my role or whatnot. Just kind of just I don't know, being an MD, just being reliable like in that way.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like Sage is like really is taking the lead of the whole youth, and I think it's really awesome.
No, it's great.
I think like if there was a voice for Motion Youth, it would be Sage's voice.
Totally.
Which is super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's why you being on Elijah was sick.
Oh my gosh.
That was
jeez.
so dope.
Speaking of which, when is that going to be released?
I don't know. Bobby Walker, if you're listening, I'm just kidding. We're starting overdubs in January.
January? Okay.
Just because of the holidays and stuff and everything going on. So I think overdubs will start January. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay.
But yeah, and then the plan is to release sometime in the spring.
Yeah, that's what I've heard at least, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact dates. We haven't really talked about it, but once we get into that, Elijah and prophesy.
Yeah. No, right?
So excited.
Yes, it is
So
gonna be.
excited. Yes.
What was that night like for you guys?
Holy moly, what? How do I even explain that?
It feels surreal.
It was.
It was crazy.
I think what I could take away was the evangelism part of it. Just reaching out and just kind of building up, like almost fulfilling that prophecy that, I forget his name, but the speaker on the first United Night.
With filling the place.
Yes, yeah, and it just like, that was actually so prophetic. But yeah.
I can't not think of his name. Julian something.
Yeah, Julian something, yeah.
Julian Lowe.
You're like right there.
Was that it?
Yeah, Julian
Lowe.
Lowe.
There you go,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, well, it's just doing that. So like kind of stepping out, doing like evangelism groups and stuff like that. I'm kind of taking charge of that.
So you guys were doing that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think a couple of times we went out and evangelized as a little group we have.
Yeah.
Like outside of Motion Youth?
Yeah, outside of Motion
really?
Youth. Yeah.
Oh, who's in that?
Well, I don't know. I think the most recent one we did, I kind of, I guess say, I kind of just like, oh, guys, let's just do an evangelism thing this weekend. I think you were there. Owen was there.
Yeah.
Shout out Owen.
Shout out
Colton.
Owen. Yeah.
Shout out Colton.
Yeah, just our leadership
Anthony,
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Anthony and
Riley, yeah.
Riley, yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you guys do?
Hudson and your brother also was there too, yeah, right?
Yeah, they were, yeah.
We went to the mall right up the hill and we were just like, let's just
Yes.
spread the word. Let's
Yeah,
just
just
spread the
walked
love.
around,
That's so
walked
cool.
around, prayed over people, like.
It was actually so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It was.
Met some people from BSSM, which is so sick.
we met people
Oh,
from
really?
PSSM, yeah.
They were
We
just
prayed with
prophesied
them
over
and
us.
stuff. It was awesome.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
That was actually so
Sick.
cool.
See, this is what leadership is about.
Yeah.
Like it's outside of the four walls of the church.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
going
love
out
that.
and doing all these things and getting all these invites to worship events like what you guys have been doing, and so
yeah.
that's just so awesome. But
I think, and I figured add on to that, I think just a little testimony, like there's this guy invites United Night, and I'm actually meeting up with him right after this.
No way.
Yeah, to do a little Bible Devo thing
Wow.
to
tell him
introduce
you
him.
talked about him on the pod.
I will. I'll send him this.
Yeah.
If you're listening, TJ, what's up? I'll see you in like an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, something kind of cool that just happens.
TJ, is that the drummer kid from?
Yeah.
Him?
Yeah,
Oh,
that kid.
He's lit. I met him too.
Really? That's so
Where are you
sick.
going with him?
Just Starbucks.
Oh, dude, he's fire.
Yeah,
He's,
that's cool.
Yeah,
Now I gotta send to him now because we're talking about him.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I talked to him I drummed for youth like 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
The last time I ever drummed for youth, and I was walking to like the wing over here, and some kid came up to me and was like, "Bro, you're fills with the toms," and he like explained everything. In my head, I was like, "This kid's a drummer."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, you play drums?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I play drums." And I'm like, "Oh, bro, we should totally get you connected with John Williams. He's like the Motion Youth pastor, the worship pastor." And he goes, "Oh, I'd love to talk to him." So I called John, and he didn't answer. And I was like, "Oh, dang." And I was like, "But next week," and I was like, "Let's meet, let's hang out, and then we'll talk to John." And he goes, "Okay, great." And then John and Kyle and Aaron, we were gonna go get dinner. We were just talked about gonna get something to eat after. So I called John and I said, "Bro, where you at?" And he goes, "Oh, dude, I'm actually talking to this kid who plays drums."
Right, yeah, I remember that night.
And I go, "Wait, TJ?" And he goes, "Yeah, how do you know him?" And I said, "I literally talked to him like 20 minutes ago." And he goes, yeah. He's like, "He's going to play drums right now." And I think he played like the same night. And he goes, "Bro, this kid is good." And I said, "No way." And TJ's been around.
I love it.
He's been around at J-High, right?
Yeah, J-High, yeah. And I mean, his first night was United Night, and like, oh my goodness. Like, the greatest joy is seeing people's lives just change.
So you met him at the mall?
No, so I work with him. I work at the Y. He's a swim instructor like
okay,
me.
okay.
Yeah. Actually, shout out. Today I became a certified lifeguard. Woo. But anyway,
Training on Sunday.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But yeah, so I just met him there, and I kind of just like, I don't know what like it was definitely that pull. Like the Lord was like, "You gotta talk to this guy. You gotta invite him to United Night." I was like, "Sure, let's just do it." Bro. And since then, I mean, seeing the growth in him, his like hunger to do that. I think Sage, you can probably speak the same thing about other people you brought to Christ. It's just like their hunger and just their wanting to be in church is crazy.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a big aspect of like I'm gonna repeat it, being a leader outside of the four walls. Like it's not evangelizing to the people. It is, but it isn't evangelizing to the people who are already in here. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember which episode we talked about this, or I think it was with Zach, where his favorite thing is just getting outside of the four walls, like that. Going out and he's been getting into CrossFit recently, and he mentioned the other day how he's able to he's just there. It's like people at his gym, people at the dog park when he takes Mosey out for a run. It's like our job is to seek the lost. Yeah. And if we're not putting that into work, then I just feel like as believers, we're not really fulfilling what the Lord has for us. Like we could be on all these records and we can sing all these songs and, be these good guitarists or engineers or whatever. But if we're not doing what Jesus called us to do, when he preached about the Great Commission, like if we're not putting that into works, if we're not living what prophesy and Elijah say, then why even bother? Yeah. And Nathan's pulling out his Bible. He got a verse going. But if we're just not living out those moments, then I think it's not hypocrisy. It's just, I think we need to self-reflect, and we all fail in this, and it's just the Lord is so gracious that we have all these opportunities still. Yeah. To be able to invite people, and that United Night was nuts because Julian did say that there was going to be that the top row was going to be full, and everyone was believing it and having faith in that. It's not because we want hype or we want to fill the seats. It genuinely wasn't about that. Yeah. But when those doors opened up, and it was funny because I remember thinking the whole bottom level got full, right? And I go, okay, this is a lot of people. Yeah. But then when it started, you could see it like filled up at the top. Yeah. I was like, this is nuts.
Being on the platform, looking up, I'm like, dude, where do these people come from?
I was like, what? It was absolutely packed, and so awesome. That just made that night just that much more incredible, and the Spirit was so tangible. And did you find your verse?
I did, yeah. And I figured it's a Christian podcast. We should read some Bible, but of course, something that John would read to us a lot. I remember when we evangelized and things like that. It was let's see, Isaiah 49:6. It says, "It is too light a thing that you should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to bring back the preserved of Israel. I will make you as a light for the nations, that my salvation may reach the ends of the earth." Yeah. And like I guess his heart was kind of like that. Like, it's too little of a thing to be preaching, I guess, inside the four walls, right? Yep. You have to kind of spread that light outside of the four walls and to other than the 12 tribes, and things like that.
What verse was that?
Isaiah 49:6.
I was reading something similar yesterday.
Yeah, and things like that. I think having great leaders like John
Yeah.
And even like Zach's, oh my goodness. But yeah, like, having leaders like that is just like kind of enabling us, kind of pushing us to do our best and like really just be a light and be what the Lord has called us to do and do what the Lord has called us to do. It's just been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just what it's about. And I think when we, sorry, I'm trying to find a verse that I was talking about. But when we choose to be those people, you know, be the light of the world, then that reflects into who we are on the altar.
Yeah.
You know, because
Ooh, yeah.
I do not believe that we should be different people on the altar when we are
That's good.
in the lobby.
Definitely,
you know.
yeah.
And that's one of the things that I love, that patio time is so important.
Patio time is so
Patio
fun.
time is lit. I used to not like it. I've said it on the podcast before. I used to not like patio time. Like I was like, I got to go socialize. I got to go do this and that. So for like the first month when I started serving, I was just so fake. I was like out there because I had to, you know, and then things just got better. And so patio time just made it that much better. And it really reflects who we are, because if we can be just life-giving, God-loving people out in the patio with our community, you know, just, hey, good morning, you know, like a welcome to church kind of a thing. I always ask people when they carry their Starbucks drinks, like, hey, what are you drinking? Because it just
That's
sparks
cool.
conversation.
I like that. I'm still
And
that
then
one.
they'll,
I'm gonna steal that one.
you just ask people, be like, hey, what do you got to drink today? And they'll be like, oh, just a drip or whatever. But it just sparks conversation. It gives you or when people are cold, I'm like, oh, it's warm inside, kind of like a thing.
Come
Like
on in,
I just notice how people are walking in, and that's just how I react, right? And so that's just I didn't find the verse I was looking for, but anyways, that's just, it ends up reflecting who we are.
Yeah.
And so it's really important that we maintain that not mentality, but that heart, right, where we just continue to seek the Lord, and the Lord provides.
Yeah.
The Lord opens doors, and the Lord gives inspiration. We've talked about inspiration before, and then that's just where everything is fruitful. You know, where things change, where the reason why we do things is just so much better. It's different, you know, and so I think it's great how things evolve.
Yeah.
And you guys at such a young age, and me, I'm young, but younger age, I feel like the doors are just there, right? But sometimes it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Maybe not for you guys, but for other younger listeners who are unsure, definitely pray. Prayer is a big thing.
Oh,
It's like, God,
sure.
Yeah.
because I don't know who said this. I totally forgot, and I might misquote it, but it's like when God opens doors, only He can close them. But what is it? It's like, I heard it in Spanish. It's like when God opens
Just say it in
doors, only He
Spanish.
can close them. But then the devil will try to open doors that God closed.
Ooh.
Like, does that make sense? Like, if God is like, this opportunity is not for you, I have a better one for you. But the devil's like, no, this door's open, bro.
Yeah.
trust
You know,
me,
that it's like, you just have to know which door is the God door, because there's that God door and there's the devil
that's the
door.
other door, yeah.
And you got to know which one to take. And so it's just prayer, seeking guidance too. I know you guys have your mentors and you have your leaders, and it's like, hey, this opportunity came up. What do you think? And, you know, kind of lay it out on the table. Okay, these are the pros, you know, going to Reading, you know, these are the pros, these are the cons, like moving away from my family, but, you know, seeking the Lord in different opportunities, or you with staying behind. It's like, okay, my family's leaving, but I'm going to live on my own. But what benefits does it bring, you know? And it's all for the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
And it's all for just edifying the Lord. And things can get tough, but I think when you do the things for the right reason, the Lord's there.
Yeah.
And it backs you up. And we're just testimonies of God's goodness and God's grace. And I genuinely would not be here if it wasn't for the Lord.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I just...
Yeah, we could all say the same thing.
No,
like, it's
I know.
crazy.
It's so true.
Yeah.
But here we are, and I want to emphasize a little bit on just kind of what you guys do. Sage, do you write songs?
A little bit, yeah.
You have a little bit?
I do.
Have you thought about bringing Anita John, or have you
not
before?
yet.
Not yet?
I have not, no.
Okay. What about you?
Yes.
There's a little podcast sneak peek. There's a guitar right there.
Oh, you play guitar, huh?
I do,
You
yes.
do play guitar. Did you learn on your own?
I had someone that taught me for like a year, then all the rest I just kind of taught myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the same for a little bit of piano and stuff.
Okay.
So
It's always good to learn a little bit, especially if you're like a singer,
Yeah.
because you don't want to be that person that's like, sing an A, and you're like, what's an A?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's so cool. And but I was gonna ask a question. I should have written them down. This is why we need to write them down.
Right.
But yeah. So I think we got a lot upcoming for youth. I think there's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah,
Is
for sure.
there anything that you guys are looking forward to before you guys leave? Because then you guys are done.
Oh, we actually are leaving. We're serious. No way.
Yeah,
No.
you're almost done with Motion Youth.
That's just hitting me right now. Whoa.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, for one, just keep growing the team. I think join the leadership
Yeah.
team. The student, like at youth, we have a student leadership team, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just growing that, kind of just being the leaders that people need, and also being
Sure.
and also knowing when not to be. You know, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
it can go to our head sometimes, but yeah, it's that, and also growing our own faith, growing others, just keep doing what we're doing. Honestly,
Yeah.
like this saying keeps popping in our head, but our saying at Motion Church is just loving God, loving people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That keeps popping in my head. So
That's true.
yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, just my heart for our youth ministry is just for us to be on fire for the Lord.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I want
You've
us.
expressed that multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want them to long for God's presence.
Yeah.
I want them to be desperate for His presence.
Sure,
Love
sure.
that.
I want them to continue to be desperate for a deeper relationship with
Uh-huh.
Him. Because like sometimes when you give our life to the Lord, for some people like they just kind of stay at that point. I want
Mhm.
people to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Because to have a living relationship with the Lord, we need to continue to be spending time with Him. And
Mhm.
so that's what I'm just desperate for other people to continue long for the Lord.
Yeah.
That's what I've been seeing that too. So
No,
it's
yeah, I
been
know.
awesome that I get to be a part of that and
Yeah.
part of growing God's kingdom.
Totally.
And yeah.
Yeah, that's why when we sing, we want to burn, we want to burn.
Yes.
Sage is like, yeah. No, but it's the heart of worship, and you know
Yeah.
where I see a lot of this come from is from John, like
Yes,
as your
definitely.
guys' leader, like, and it's so beautiful to see when a leader has a vision. You know, like when Roger has a vision, and as staff we're able to execute it. You know,
Right.
it's just so cool to see how this is from God to this person to this person to that person, and so
Yeah.
John is just fervent and on fire
He is,
for the
yeah.
youth.
It's amazing.
Yes.
And he has a heart for you guys like you guys have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, he tells you guys, but his heart for the youth is just incredible. And so I just think it's cool how Sage is like, you guys, she's living she's living what John has been preaching.
Yeah.
And now you're the one preaching it to these guys. But it's awesome. Yeah, right. And you can see that. I just, sometimes as young people, things can be awkward. Things can be weird. Expression is always like what are people going to say? What are people going to think about me? And I don't know if with the J hires leaving, it helped for something. But
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of people changed
Yeah,
when the junior
definitely.
hires left.
Yeah.
It was like when the junior hires left, things got, a lot of people were kind of like, okay, this is a little more serious now. Like,
Yeah.
we are the go-to people now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no longer of, what are these kids going to think of me? You know, have you guys been over to the TI?
Have not known.
I have not,
Because you
no.
guys are always here, right?
Yeah.
I was over there once, and it's just crazy to see the difference in age groups and how they act, but the way they worship too.
Oh,
Because here it's
okay.
more like it's a little more serious, quote unquote. But over there it's like jumping and whatever and rage and all these things,
That's
and,
cool.
and you know we do that here too. But the shift when you know Jake says it was the multiplication out of division when you know youth multiplied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could totally see how the room changed.
Yeah.
And it was like a cool change because I get to see everything from the back.
Right.
So it's like I get to see you guys, and then I get to see the people down there, and so even like the people who would always sit in the back, like they're a lot of them were junior hires,
Yeah.
so a lot of it was messing around. But I've been able to see how even that changed, and I don't know, did that motivate? Do you guys feel like that motivated people? Did it just? What do you guys think?
You wanna, I can go.
Whatever, yeah.
I think there was a better sense of like intimacy, I guess.
Sure.
In the sense that like small groups kind of formed, or even
Yeah.
grew more, and then like just relationships with each other grew more, and with the Lord most importantly. I
Sure.
think.
Yeah.
I think our youth, especially our leadership team, have like grown to like literally be desperate. What you're saying, like be desperate for the Lord
Yeah.
and long for His presence and things like that. So like having that hunger, definitely grew when we multiplied. And yeah, also like our numbers.
Yeah.
Like, it was
That's
a lot.
that's
Crazy.
encouraging
It was
too,
crazy,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do we always say at the leadership team? I'm gonna butcher this because I can never get it right. But it's like every number has a name, every name has a story,
and
every
every
story
story
matters to God.
God,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of I love that so much.
It's
'cause,
so
like,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's why when I truly think numbers are important, but I don't think they're the emphasis of
yeah,
what we do.
that's good. Yeah.
You know, because I heard someone on a podcast say Jesus kept tally of numbers too. Otherwise, he wouldn't know that he preached to the 5,000
Yeah,
or
right,
whatever.
exactly.
Mhm.
So it's like it wasn't because he wanted to take number down of how many
Mhm.
people he evangelized. It's like, no, numbers are important because this is truly what matters, right? And so Jake talked about it. We were talking one day in his office, and he's like, honestly, bro, it's not even about having over 1,000 people in numbers. It's having 1,000 people desperate and worshiping
Yeah.
for the Lord, and it could be a room full of 1,000 people, over 1,000 people, like it was that night, or it could be an experience that you guys lived in Syncadia too, that everybody's talked about.
Yeah.
Were you both there?
I was not there.
You
no.
were
I was
there?
there, yes.
I know you were there.
Yeah.
So even like that, like a
Yeah.
cabin with like 50 leaders, like the Lord, the Spirit
I
moved.
heard it was
Yeah,
crazy.
he did.
Yeah. You want to share on that a little bit for those who don't know?
Yeah, like I actually wasn't gonna go, but the Lord was like, "You need to go, Sage." So I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm gonna go." Like, because I wasn't sure what it was gonna be like, because I've
Sure.
never done something like that.
Yeah.
Like, especially because I didn't know most of those people.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, we like in a cabin. Like, they were just. It was just. I could really tell like the Lord was there and He wanted to do something. So we're like, okay, we're just gonna all press in. Like, we're not sure what the Lord wants to do, but we're ready for Him. And like yeah, a lot of crazy things happened. Like, people, like the Lord placed in my heart to share with everybody about spiritual gifts, because I feel like we haven't talked about it that much. So I like shared about spiritual gifts a little bit, and people there actually received spiritual gifts
Wow.
and actually began to grow theirs. So it was
Wow.
really crazy because we
That's
like
awesome.
we worshiped for hours there, and like we
Yeah.
didn't even want to stop, but
I don't know.
like it was just crazy how the Lord, like when you're in the God's presence, you never want to leave.
No,
So that was
no,
like
no.
one of
So
the
good.
that was like a spark, like
Yeah.
what God like could do. Like,
And that
so
that caused a lot for a lot of people too. Like it wasn't like 5 people. It was like literally every single person.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
leader in there was just
yeah.
taken by the Holy Spirit, and it's like the day of Pentecost. It's like
Yeah.
the word says that every single person, was speaking in tongues, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe not every single person was that day. I wasn't there, but
Mhm.
every single person received something from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I've been able to see in you. I've been able to see in like Owen and all these other youth students. I don't know a lot of them, like, but just a bunch of them that I've been able to see that like, oh yeah, I was there at St. Katie and it changed my life.
Yeah.
Like it's moments like those, encounters like those with the Holy Spirit, where we're able to just, it's just different. Something
Yeah, I love
happens, everything
Yeah.
changes, and
Yeah.
it's like you're born again, but you already
I love
were
that,
born
yeah.
again. It's like what? It doesn't really make
Yeah.
sense, but
Um,
God is so good when it comes down to that, and I'm gonna come back to it. It reflects how we are on the altar, how we are as leaders.
love it, yeah.
And not necessarily even on the altar, because you have people who serve behind the scenes for youth who aren't on the altar. You have people
Yeah.
like Owen, he plays keys, but he also does things outside. Riley Jacobus, like Anthony
gosh,
Uzun,
yeah.
like all of those guys, and Taylor, and I'm trying to name the the very few that I know. You guys would know more, but
Yeah.
it's like those people are the ones who put all of this together too,
Yeah,
to
for sure.
create a space, to create a space for people to
Mhm.
come in, and especially now more than ever, our youth just needs a space to encounter
Right.
the Lord.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, this memory keeps popping in my head, but I have this little Bible study on Monday nights. Shout out Monday night Bible study. But
You still doing this?
yeah,
Yeah.
so your brother, you remember this moment, but like your
Yes.
brother, we were in this prayer circle. It's something that we'd never done before. It was like so spontaneous, and it was like,
Yeah.
and honestly, the Lord was like working. It was crazy. And it's like, and like you said, like it's moments like that. But
Yeah.
like he just started just dropping prophecy on us, and
Yeah.
like this image, like he was praying and praying and praying, as we all were. And then
Yeah.
like one of my buddies, he called him out, and he's like, "Wyatt, you got something to say?" And he's like, "Yeah, actually I do." And he just proceeds to like just blow our minds with this amazing prophecy
Yeah.
about like the harvest. Like it was
Yeah.
this great. I can't like replicate it, but like it's just this great imagery of the Lord. Like I think it was like brushing his hands on the wheat, and it's like
Through the
like through the harvest, and he's like, "Yeah, this is
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
Like, this is ready to
Oh.
cultivate."
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I was like,
crazy.
Whoa!
Yeah.
And it's like moments like that like enable those type of things, and those
Yeah.
things that happen, and like Suncadia and moments like that are just like so profound and just so
Oh,
amazing.
that's nuts! I'm
Yes.
just
Yes.
imagining that right now.
No,
Yes.
it was like
It was
Goodness
crazy.
gracious.
it was awesome,
Yeah.
and
Lord
I
is so
think
good.
just having those small intimate moments like that, and it didn't really matter about the numbers. It was just like the people who
No,
were
no,
there,
not at
like
all,
they were
yeah.
we were all on fire.
Yeah.
In the moment. And at Suncadia, we were all on fire, and I think at United Night we were all on fire. And it's
Yeah,
like just
it really isn't
moves of
about
God.
the people in the room, because you can have a room full of 5,000 and none of them are willing. The Spirit won't move.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But if you have a room full of 5 that are willing, the Spirit will
Sure.
move.
Yeah.
And
Two more gathered.
yeah, we're 2 or more gathered, and that's just how hungry we are, for
Mhm.
for him. And I feel like even in this room, when we have our rallies, you know,
Yeah.
not just for you, it's like we'll do a first Wednesday and it's like, okay, we're going to pray, and each one of you pray, and then we'll come together. Like, just even in times of circling up and praying together, it's incredible how
I love it.
you can just tell when the room gets stirred up. You know, the
Yeah.
room, you just feel something.
Split right now.
I know.
and then
It's so
you're just ready to go out and encounter God, and
Yeah.
just make that space. And that's who we are. You know, we make space. We make room for the Holy Spirit to move in us first,
Mhm.
as leaders and as worshipers. And I include myself because yes, I'm on production, but
yeah,
I'm a musician too, and so
crazy musician.
and include ourselves, and just go out there with humble hearts. I think one of the bigger things
Yeah.
is just humility,
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
if we need to have our hearts empty
Definitely.
to
Yeah.
allow the Lord to move in, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's one of the biggest things that I learned growing up is, okay, maybe my heart desires this, my heart desires that, you know. But if I have my heart full of earthly desires, then there will be no room for the desires of the Lord.
yeah,
And I will never create that space. And so growing up, it was always a constant reminder. It's like, okay, these things, you know, we are in this world, but we're not from this world.
yeah,
You know, and that was a lot of the things that I told myself. It's like, okay, you know, we're here, I'm here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to engage in the things of the world.
hmm
So that's how I grew up, honestly, and that helped me get through a lot of tough situations and a lot of trouble.
yeah.
Because I wasn't a troubled kid. I was just very social, like I am now.
Mhm.
But a lot of that got me in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's just a constant reminder.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Something you mentioned, humility.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about that, like it's a little bit for me and
No,
for
go
the
for
listener
it.
at the Creative Office podcast.
Podcast.
Yeah, but it's like being such great like vocalists, being such great musicians. Like how do we steward how do we steward it to the point where it's like it's for the Lord, it's not for me. Like I mean, I like for me personally, and I know I can talk to a couple
Yeah.
other people who are listening, just like. I could say I'm a performer. I'm in multiple jazz
Sure.
bands, stuff like that, whatnot. I know Pablo, you were in the honor jazz
Varsity
band.
jazz band.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, Sage, you have an amazing voice. Like, so how do we steward that? And like to listener, like how do we steward that in the sense of like it is for the Lord. It is not for myself, but it is just for the Lord purely.
You know, that's a good question, and what I've been able to kind of live and talk about is, it's nice when you get a compliment. You know, it's always cool when, hey, bro, you know, good job playing this, or Sage, you kill those vocals in the recording. It's, you know, the three of us here, we just have humble hearts where it's like, for me, it's awkward. Like, I don't like when people compliment me because I don't know what to say. I'm like,
Yeah.
thanks, glory to God, God is good. Like, I'm always like, kind of a thing. But somebody once told me, it's like, the Lord allows us, the Lord gives us these talents because what we're doing is for Him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And He does not, you know, the Lord is perfect. And if we're not giving Him our best, then the Lord won't receive it. So sometimes it's okay to kind of be like God allows us, He gives us the ability to play the right notes, to do these cool licks, to do these cool fills,
Yeah.
these, you know, these runs.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's okay to be like, thanks, you know, when someone gives you that, like that compliment, like, hey, Nathan, good job,
Mhm.
you know. And it might feel like if you say thank you, you're taking the glory away from God,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily like that, because what we're doing is we're saying thank you to somebody, but we know in our hearts that it's for God.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, thanks, bro. Yeah, I practiced like 20 hours and I finally got it and my fingers hurt, but you know what? We did it. It's like, okay, that's not even close to being the same thing.
Yeah. That's
But
good.
when someone is like, hey, man, you did great last night. You know, you did great worshiping. It's like, oh, thank you, man. Like, you know, God moved, kind of a thing. And I've
Yeah.
gotten a little bit better at that because God would never embarrass us in His presence.
Mm.
You know, God would never allow us to commit a big mistake when we're before Him.
That's good. Yeah.
You know, obviously there are mistakes and mistakes happen, and that's okay. But, you know, He, in those moments, as long as we have a humble heart, then God will exalt us. But
Yeah.
if we try to exalt ourselves, God will humble us. And so it's just understanding the difference between accepting a compliment in the sense of like, hey, thank you, kind of a thing, and not letting it get to your heart, which
Mhm.
is hard.
Yeah.
I think it can be hard.
Mhm.
And when I spoke about being in like the jazz band, like I was always like me, like, oh, I'm the
Mhm.
drummer, I'm this, I'm that. And then this guy came around and humbled me really quick, and I was like, oh wait, you know, what I do outside of church is still to glorify God. But in
Yeah.
my
Well, that's
head,
good.
I was like, no, it's not, because I'm not doing it for God. But when I think about it, the talent that he gave me to drum came from him. So everything that I do, like every single, that's why I say every single breath is for you, because if that's what he's given us, like if that's what when he breathes into us, every single breath should be for him.
That's great.
And that, just to kind of add a little bit into that with the humility, like every single thing that we do, like even sports, people are like, oh, how is sports to glorify God? It's like, because he gave you those legs to run, bro. Like he gave you those arms, he gave you the ability and the strength to do all of that. And so I think that's a very important aspect of just recognizing, recognition. Like, God, you gave me this, so I will glorify you in all things. I'm at work. God, thank you. Well, for me, it's different because I work at a church. But when I didn't, it was like, God, I used to work at a school. It's like, God, thank you for, the patience that you give me to work with these children, because this is to glorify you. And my mom would always tell me, just pray for them in your head, and I would pray for the kids. And when certain things would happen, where I had certain encounters, it's like, oh, he's never, ever, this student used to never be able to talk, and now he's talking with you. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you're so good. And in my head, I was like, no, it's the Lord.
Just praying.
I would pray for these kids, and the Lord would just move, and all for his glory. So, yeah, that's just how it is. That's amazing. Humility is super important. Yeah. I think we're going to wrap it up. But just to kind of emphasize on it, you guys are going places. Yeah. You guys have a lot of potential, and everybody, not just these two, but everybody who's listening. Yeah, thumbs up from Nathan for our audio listeners. This is just gonna go. Things are just gonna get a lot better, and so grateful to have you two around, and you guys are awesome people to have at the church. Yeah. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap it up? Sage, anything you want to say?
Back to what you're talking about, what was it? With getting compliments and stuff, the way how I was always coming back to the Lord with it. Yeah. Like saying, if someone says, oh, you did such a great job singing, I always say, oh, thank you, blah, blah. But I always come back to the Lord to say, thank you, Jesus, because I would not have been able to do this if it wasn't for you. Yep. So I always come back to the Lord and thank God, the one who created me, the one who gave me the ability to do this. Yeah. So.
But it's about knowing your heart, right? Because you could easily take the compliment and not go and back before Jesus and be like, thank you. And it's just having a humble heart and that recognition, and so that's super important. But I think that's great. This room is so warm now. It is. You feel it? It's a little hot in here. I felt it earlier. I go, oh, this room got really hot. But the creative office is cold, you guys. Yeah. For those who don't know, it gets cold in here. But thank you both for being on the pod. Yeah, of course. Thank you, Pablo, for inviting us. Of course. I'm going to have you guys again. And when Sage is touring with Bethel and they're in Seattle, I'm going to have her on the podcast. But anyways, thank you guys so much. And we will not be having an episode next week because it is Quithmoith. Yeah. So we will see you guys in the new year. Yeah. Wow. We'll be back for the new year. Wait, this episode comes out next week, the 26th. So we will have one there, but we won't have one for the new year. That's what I meant to say. Okay. Yeah. So we'll be back the first week of January or something like that. But anyways, just stay on the lookout for that. Come to our Christmas services if you don't have anywhere to go. 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Wait, no, I'm so dumb. This episode's going to come out after. I hope you came to our Christmas services. There you go. I'm so silly. I always forget. It trips me out. Because we're recording today, Thursday, and it comes out on Tuesday. It's so trippy. Yeah, that's kind of weird. But anyways, come to our New Year's service. There we go. The Merry 31st. Christmas. Yes. Come to any of our campuses, Pal Best campus, anyways. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys again. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe, share. Yeah. Share it for these guys, and you guys share it too. Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much. And we love you guys, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye. Peace out.